Hey guys, tonight we're whisking you away to the frosty peaks of the Alps, where you'll step into the life of an Inuit healer. A world so serene you might just doze off before the first snowflake falls. Picture yourself bundled in furs, the crisp mountain air biting at your cheeks, as you stand outside a small wooden hut, the healer's home, with smoke curling lazily from the chimney. It's the 18th century, and healing here isn't just medicine. It's a quiet dance of tradition and nature. Though let's be honest, you'd probably nap through the first herb lesson. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Drop a comment with your city and what time it is there. I'd love to know who's joining me on this chilly journey. Now, dim the lights. Maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You're standing on a snowy slope, the Alps stretching endlessly around you, their jagged peaks dusted with fresh powder. It's early morning, the sky a pale gray, and the silence is so deep you can hear the crunch of snow under your boots. You're an Inuit healer, part of a small community that migrated to these mountains centuries ago, bringing ancient healing practices to a new land. Here's the historical core Inuit communities, known for their resilience in harsh climates, sometimes migrated beyond the Arctic, with some oral traditions suggesting small groups settled in the Alps by the 1700s, blending their healing methods with local alpine knowledge. You adjust your fur-lined hood, the cold nipping at your ears, and glance at the hut where your day as a healer begins, a role that's as much about spirit as it is about herbs. As you push open the door, the warmth of a small fire greets you, the air thick with the scent of pine and dried herbs hanging from the rafters. You set down your satchel, its leather worn from years of use, and kneel by the fire to warm your hands. Here's a quirky little detail to make you smile. Some healers believe the first snowflake you caught on your tongue each winter held the spirit of the mountain, giving you extra wisdom for the year. You chuckle, imagining yourself sticking out your tongue like a child, hoping for a snowflake while the villagers laugh behind their hands. It's a forgotten superstition, but it adds a layer of charm to your morning, the fire's crackle pulling you into a drowsy rhythm. You start your day by grinding herbs in a stone mortar, the rhythmic scrape of the pestle blending with the wind's soft howl outside. The villagers rely on you, not just for medicine, but for comfort in this harsh landscape, and you're already preparing for a long day of tending to their needs. Historians still debate how far Inuit healers traveled. Some say their presence in the Alps is a myth, while others point to archaeological finds like bone tools as proof. The argument lingers in academic circles, but you're too busy stirring the herbs to care, the steam rising in lazy curls as the snow outside falls heavier, blanketing the world in a sleepy white. You're still in the cozy warmth of the healer's hut, the scent of pine and herbs wrapping around you as the fire crackles softly, the ground herbs in the mortar releasing a faint, earthy aroma. The snow outside falls steadily, muffling the world in a white hush, and you know it's time to start your morning rituals, the quiet routines that set the tone for a healer's day in these alpine peaks. You pull your fur-lined cloak tighter, the weight comforting against the chill, and step toward a small wooden shelf where your ritual tools wait, the dawn light filtering through a frosted window in pale, sleepy streaks. Here's the historical foundation. Inuit healers often began their days with rituals to honor the spirits of the land, a practice that carried over even in far-flung places like the Alps during the 18th century. You pick up a small drum, its hide stretched taut over a wooden frame, and run your fingers over the carved patterns, symbols of the wind and mountains, etched by your own hand years ago. These rituals weren't just spiritual, they were a way to center yourself, to connect with the land's rhythms before facing the villagers' ailments. You tap the drum lightly, the low thrum echoing in the hut, and feel the day's purpose settle into your bones, a slow, grounding beat that's already making you yawn. Now for the quirky detail that might make you smile. Some healers tied a single feather to their wrist during morning rituals, believing it let them borrow a bird's vision to spot hidden illnesses. You reach for a raven feather from the shelf, its glossy black catching the light, and tie it to your wrist with a thin leather cord, chuckling at the thought of squinting like a bird at your patients. It's a forgotten habit, a small piece of whimsy in a serious role, and you can't help but imagine the villagers raising an eyebrow as you peer at them with a raven eyes. You shake your head, the feather brushing your skin, and focus on the ritual, the drum's rhythm pulling you deeper into a drowsy calm. You sit cross-legged on a woven mat by the fire, the drum resting on your lap, and begin a soft chant, the words passed down through generations of healers. The chant speaks of the mountain spirits, asking for their guidance, and you close your eyes, letting the sound fill the hut. The fire's warmth seeps into your knees, the mat scratchy but familiar, and you picture the spirits as wisps of snow swirling outside, their shapes fleeting but kind. The ritual is simple: drum, chant, and a moment of stillness. But it's the backbone of your day, a tradition that ties you to your ancestors even in this distant land. You tap the drum one last time, the sound fading into the crackle of the fire, and take a deep breath, the air tinged with smoke and herbs. Outside, the snow has slowed, leaving a fresh layer that glints in the dawn light, and you rise to prepare for the day, the feather still dangling from your wrist. You pack your satchel with essentials: dried herbs, a small knife for cutting plants, and a bone needle for emergencies, each item a reminder of the work ahead. The villagers will be waking soon, some trudging through the snow to seek your help, and you need to be ready. You step to the window, wiping away the frost with your sleeve, and peer out at the village below, its wooden huts nestled in the valley like a child's toy set. A few early risers move through the snow, their breath puffing in white clouds, and you spot a child slipping on a patch of ice, his laughter echoing faintly. You turn back to the hut, grabbing a small clay cup from the shelf, and fill it with melted snow from a pot by the fire, the water cool but clean. The ritual has left you calm, your mind as still as the snow outside, and you sip the water slowly, the feather brushing your wrist as you move. The morning routines are a quiet dance, a way to ease into the day's demands, and you can feel their rhythm settling into your bones, a sleepy cadence that's as comforting as the fire's glow. You set the cup down, the clay clinking softly, and adjust your cloak, the weight of your satchel a steady anchor as you prepare to face the cold. Historians still debate how much of Inuit spiritual practices survived in places like the Alps. Some say they were diluted by local traditions, while others argue the core rituals stayed intact. The argument lingers in academic circles, with scholars sifting through oral histories to find answers. But you're too busy sipping your water to care. The dawn light bathes the hut, the soft thrum of your earlier chant blending with the wind's howl, and the raven feather on your wrist pulls you deeper into a drowsy, ritual-filled haze. You take one last look out the window, the village waking slowly below, and let the morning's gentle rhythm rock you into a peaceful start. You're still in the healer's hut, the warmth of the fire lingering on your skin as the taste of melted snow water cools your throat, the raven feather on your wrist swaying gently with each move. The village below stirs to life, the faint laughter of the child on the ice fading into the morning hush, and you know it's time to step outside. You sling your satchel over your shoulder, the leather creaking softly, and push open the door, the cold alpine air rushing in to greet you. The snow crunches under your boots as you head toward the mountainside, ready to join the healer in gathering herbs, a daily task that turns the rugged slopes into a sleepy treasure hunt in this 18th century world. Here's the historical foundation. Inuit healers relied heavily on the land for medicinal plants, a practice they adapted to the Alps' unique flora after their migration in the 1700s. You're trudging up a gentle slope now, the wind tugging at your cloak as you spot patches of alpine herbs. Small, tough plants like edelweiss and gentian that thrive in this harsh climate. The healer taught you to recognize their shapes, their leaves dusted with snow, and you kneel to dig one up with your small knife, the soil cold and gritty under your fingers. This gathering wasn't just practical, it was a sacred act, connecting you to the mountain spirits, and you can feel their presence in the stillness, a rhythm that's already making your eyelids heavy. Now for the quirky detail that might make you smile. Some healers believed talking to the herbs while picking them encouraged them to share their healing power. So you mutter a soft, "Please help us," to a gentian plant, chuckling at the thought of it nodding back. It's a forgotten custom, a bit of playful connection with nature, and you can't help but picture the herbs whispering back as you tuck them into your satchel. the leather pouch growing heavier with each step. You brush snow from your hands, the feather on your wrist catching the light, and continue up the slope, the wind's soft howl blending with your quiet murmurs. The mountainside is alive with subtle sounds, the crunch of snow, the distant call of a hawk, and you pause to take in the view, the valley sprawling below like a patchwork quilt. You spot another cluster of herbs near a rocky outcrop, their green tips peeking through the white, and kneel again, your knees sinking into the cold. The healer's voice echoes in your mind, reminding you to take only what's needed, leaving some for the spirits to bless, and you carefully cut a few stems, the knife's edge dull but steady. The satchel bumps against your hip as you move, the herb's earthy scent mixing with the pine in the air, and you feel a sense of purpose in this slow, deliberate work. The sun climbs higher, casting long shadows across the slope, and you wipe sweat from your brow despite the cold, the effort warming your cheeks. You find a small stream, its water trickling over rocks, and stop to rinse your hands, the icy touch a shock that makes you grin. The water's clarity reflects the sky, a pale blue breaking through the clouds, and you splash a little on your face, the cold waking you just enough to keep going. The gathering is a quiet dance, a daily ritual that ties you to the land, and you can hear the healer's earlier drumbeat in your mind, a sleepy cadence that guides your steps. You pack the last herbs into your satchel, the pouch now full, and sit on a flat rock to rest, the stone cold beneath you. A marmot scurries past, its fur fluffed against the chill, and you toss it a bit of dried meat from your pocket, watching as it sniffs and darts away. The mountain feels alive, its spirits watching as you work, and you take a deep breath, the air crisp and clean. The herbs you've gathered will heal colds, soothe aches, and maybe even bring a smile to a villager's face, and that thought warms you more than the sun. You lean back against the rock, the satchel resting beside you, and let the wind's gentle hum wash over you, the feather on your wrist brushing your skin like a soft whisper. Historians still debate how much the Inuit adapted their herbal knowledge to the Alps. Some say they blended local plants seamlessly, while others argue the transition was rougher than the tales suggest. The argument lingers in academic circles, with scholars studying plant remains to find clues, but you're too busy watching the marmot to care. The sunlight bathes the slope, the trickle of the stream blending with the wind's howl, and the satchel of herbs pulls you deeper into a drowsy, gathering-filled haze. You close your eyes for a moment, the rock steady beneath you, and let the mountain's gentle rhythm rock you into a peaceful rest. You're still perched on that cold rock on the mountainside, the satchel of freshly gathered herbs resting beside you as the wind's gentle howl fades into a soft whisper, the marmot's quick scamper lingering in your mind. The sun climbs higher, warming the slope just enough to melt tiny patches of snow, and you know it's time to head back to the village, your boots crunching through the icy crust as you carry the day's harvest. The path winds downward, the valley growing closer, and soon you're at a small hut where a villager waits, his face lined with worry. You step inside, the air thick with the scent of wood smoke, and prepare to assist the healer in treating your first patient, a moment of care wrapped in the sleepy rhythm of this alpine life. Here's the historical core. Inuit healers in the 18th century, even in the Alps, treated ailments with a mix of herbal remedies and spiritual guidance, a practice that earned them respect in tight, knit communities. You're kneeling beside the villager now, a middle-aged man with a cough that rattles his chest, his fur cloak pulled tight against the chill. The healer hands you a bundle of gentian from your satchel, its bitter scent sharp as you crush it into a wooden bowl, and you mix it with hot water from the fire, the steam rising in lazy curls. This hands-on healing was a daily duty, a blend of practical medicine and community trust, and you can feel the weight of it as you stir, the spoon's slow scrape a lullaby in the quiet hut. Now for the quirky detail that might make you smile. Some healers rubbed a patient's forehead with a smooth stone, claiming it, drew out the sickness like a magnet, often leaving the patient giggling at the tickle. You pick up a small, polished stone from the healer's table, its surface cool and smooth, and gently rub it across the man's brow, grinning as his lips twitch into a reluctant smile. It's a forgotten trick, a bit of light-hearted care that eased tension, and you can't help but picture the stone glowing with imaginary sickness as you set it aside. The man chuckles weakly, the sound breaking the silence, and you hand him the herbal brew, the warmth spreading through your hands as you pass it over. The hut is small, its walls lined with furs and dried plants, and the fire crackles softly, casting dancing shadows on the wooden beams. The villager sips the tea, his cough easing slightly, and you sit back on a woven mat, the texture rough but comforting under you. The healer murmurs a quiet chant, her voice low and rhythmic, asking the mountain spirits to aid the man's recovery, and you join in, your voice blending with hers in a sleepy harmony. The treatment isn't just about the herbs. It's about connection, a moment of shared hope, and you watch as the man's shoulders relax, the tension draining from his face. You adjust your cloak, the feather on your wrist brushing your skin, and feel the day's first task settle into a gentle pace. Outside, the wind picks up, whistling through the cracks in the hut, and you glance at the window, its frost patterns swirling like tiny spirits. The man finishes the tea, handing the bowl back with a nod of thanks, and you rinse it in a bucket of melted snow, the water cold against your fingers. The healer checks his pulse, her fingers steady, and smiles faintly, signaling that he'll rest now. You help him lie down on a fur pallet near the fire, the warmth enveloping him, and step outside to let him sleep, the door creaking softly behind you. The village is waking fully now, smoke rising from other huts, and you take a deep breath, the crisp air filling your lungs as you prepare for the next call. You find a log to sit on near the hut, the wood cold but solid, and pull your satchel closer, the herbs' scent grounding you. A child runs by, her cap slipping as she tosses a snowball, and you smile at her laughter, a sound that cuts through the morning's stillness. The treatment felt like a small victory, a quiet moment of healing in a world of snow and stone, and you can feel its rhythm in your chest, a slow beat that's pulling you into a drowsy haze. You lean back against the hut's wall, the wood rough against your cloak, and let the village's gentle hum wash over you, the feather on your wrist swaying like a metronome. Historians still debate how effective these traditional treatments were. Some say they relied too much on faith, while others argue the herbs held real medicinal value. The argument lingers in academic circles, with scholars studying old remedies to find answers, but you're too busy watching the child to care. The sunlight bathes the village, the soft crunch of snow blending with the child's laughter, and the man's relieved sigh pulls you deeper into a drowsy, healing-filled dream. You close your eyes for a moment, the log steady beneath you, and let the morning's gentle rhythm rock you into a peaceful rest. You're still resting on that cold log outside the villager's hut, the echo of the child's laughter fading into the crisp morning air as the warmth of the healing moment lingers in your chest, the feather on your wrist swaying gently in the breeze. The man inside sleeps soundly now, his cough softened by the gentian tea, and you feel a quiet satisfaction as you rise, brushing snow from your cloak. The village is fully awake, the hum of daily life growing louder, and you head toward the communal fire pit at the center of the settlement, where the healer waits to perform drum ceremonies. You join her, the scent of burning pine filling the air, and prepare to participate in these rhythmic rituals, a sacred practice that's as soothing as a lullaby in this alpine morning. Here's the historical foundation. Inuit healers often used drum ceremonies to invoke spiritual healing, a tradition that persisted even in their alpine settlements during the 18th century. You're standing by the fire pit now, the flames crackling as the healer hands you a drum, its hide stretched tight over a wooden frame, the same one you used in your morning ritual. A small crowd gathers, villagers wrapped in furs, their faces softened by the firelight, and you begin to tap the drum in time with the healer, the deep thrum resonating through the snowy air. These ceremonies weren't just for show, they were a way to call on the spirits for communal healing, easing worries as much as ailments, and you can feel the rhythm settle into your bones, a sleepy beat that's pulling you deeper into the moment. Now for the quirky detail that might make you smile. Some healers believed the drum's echo could trap bad spirits in the snow, so they'd pause mid-ceremony to toss a handful of snow into the air, watching it scatter like a net. You pause your drumming, scoop a handful of powdery snow, and toss it skyward, grinning as the flakes shimmer in the sunlight, before drifting back down. It's a forgotten ritual, a playful act that made the villagers chuckle, and you can't help but imagine the bad spirits flailing in the snow, caught in your imaginary net. The villagers laugh softly, their breath puffing in white clouds, and you resume drumming, the feather on your wrist dancing with each beat. The ceremony continues, the healer's voice rising in a chant that weaves through the drum's rhythm, her words calling on the mountain spirits to bless the village. You join in, your voice low and steady, the chant a melody of gratitude and hope, and you watch as the villagers close their eyes, some swaying gently to the beat. The fire crackles, sending sparks into the gray sky, and you feel a connection to the land, a thread that ties you to these people, and the spirits watching from the peaks. The drum's vibration hums through your hands, the rhythm slow and deliberate, and you can see the tension easing from the villagers' faces, their worries melting like the snow in the fire's heat. You glance at a young woman in the crowd, her hands clasped tightly, and remember she came to you yesterday with a fever. Her presence here means she's feeling better, a small victory that warms you more than the flames. The healer signals the end of the ceremony with a final tap, the sound echoing into the valley, and you set the drum down, your fingers tingling from the effort. The villagers murmur their thanks, some tossing small offerings into the fire, bits of dried meat, a carved wooden token, and you sit on a nearby stone, the cold seeping through your cloak as the crowd disperses. The ceremony was a shared moment, a healing for the whole village, and you can feel its gentle pulse in the air, a lullaby that's making your eyelids droop. A child approaches, her cap slipping as she hands you a small cup of hot broth from the communal pot, the steam rising in lazy curls. You sip it slowly, the broth's warmth spreading through you, the flavor earthy with hints of herbs you gathered earlier. The village feels alive, the snow crunching underfoot as people return to their tasks, and you lean back against the stone, the feather on your wrist brushing your skin like a soft whisper. The drum ceremonies are a cornerstone of your role, a way to weave the community together, and you're sinking into their sleepy rhythm, the fire's crackle blending with the wind's soft howl. Historians still debate the role of these ceremonies in Alpine Inuit life. Some say they were purely spiritual, while others argue they had a psychological healing effect. The argument lingers in academic circles, with scholars analyzing oral traditions to find answers. But you're too busy sipping your broth to care. The sunlight bathes the village, the soft thrum of the drum lingering in your ears, and the scattered snow from your toss pulls you deeper into a drowsy, ceremonial haze. You close your eyes for a moment, the stone steady beneath you, and let the village's gentle rhythm rock you into a peaceful rest. You're still resting on that cold stone by the communal fire pit, the warmth of the broth lingering on your tongue as the drum's soft thrum fades into the village's gentle hum, the scattered snow from your toss glinting faintly in the sunlight. The child who brought you the cup skips off, her laughter blending with the wind's howl, and you feel the ceremony's peace settling into your bones. You rise, brushing snow from your cloak, and head toward the healer's hut, the scent of pine and herbs calling you back. Inside, the fire crackles anew, and you prepare to help the healer share herbal teas with the community, a task that turns a simple brew into a sleepy bond in this alpine settlement. Here's the historical foundation. Inuit healers often prepared herbal teas to support health, a practice adapted in the Alps during the 18th century to include local plants like chamomile and thyme. You're standing by the fire now, the healer handing you a clay pot filled with boiling water, its steam rising in lazy curls as you add handfuls of dried herbs from your satchel. Gentian for coughs, edelweiss for strength. The villagers gather outside, their voices a soft murmur, and you pour the tea into small wooden cups, the warmth seeping into your fingers as you pass them around. This sharing wasn't just about medicine, it was a communal ritual, a way to strengthen ties, and you can feel the rhythm of their gratitude in each sip, a lullaby that's already making you yawn. Now for the quirky detail that might make you smile. Some healers added a single pine needle to each cup, believing it carried the forest's energy to boost the tea's power, though it often made the villagers squint at the unexpected crunch. You pluck a needle from a bundle near the fire, its green tip sharp, and drop it into a cup before handing it to an older man, grinning as he chews it with a puzzled look. It's a forgotten habit, a bit of nature's humor in the brew, and you can't help but picture the pine needle winking back at him as he sips. The man chuckles, his breath puffing in a white cloud, and you move to the next cup, the feather on your wrist swaying with each pour. The hut grows crowded, the air thick with the tea's earthy scent and the soft chatter of the villagers, their furs brushing against you as they accept their cups. A young woman with a shawl wrapped tight thanks you, her voice quiet as she mentions her fever's eased since yesterday, and you nod, the memory of her recovery warming you. You stir the pot again, adding more herbs as the healer chants softly, her words of blessing for the community's health, and you join in, your voice blending with hers in a drowsy harmony. The tea flows freely, each cup a small act of care, and you can see the villagers relax, their shoulders softening as they sip, the pine needles bobbing like tiny boats. The fire crackles, sending sparks up the chimney, and you step outside to refill the pot with snow, the cold biting at your hands as you scoop it up. The village square is alive now, children building a snowman near the fire pit, their caps slipping as they giggle, and you smile at their joy, a contrast to the quiet healing inside. You return to the hut, the snow melting into water over the flames, and pour another round, the steam warming your face as you hand cups to a pair of elders, their wrinkled hands trembling slightly. The tea, sharing is a daily thread, weaving the community together, and you're sinking into its slow, comforting rhythm. The feather on your wrist brushing your skin like a metronome. A dog trots in, its fur fluffed against the cold, and nudges your leg, its wet nose cold against your cloak. You toss it a bit of dried meat from your pocket, watching as it snaps it up and wags its tail, adding a playful note to the morning. The elders sip their tea, murmuring thanks, and you lean against the hut's wall, the wood rough but steady, letting the village's hum wash over you. The tea isn't just a remedy. It's a moment of connection, a sleepy ritual that eases both body and spirit, and you can feel its gentle pulse in the air, pulling you deeper into a drowsy haze. Historians still debate the effectiveness of these herbal teas. Some say they were mostly placebo, while others argue the plants had real medicinal properties. The argument lingers in academic circles, with scholars studying old recipes to find answers, but you're too busy watching the dog to care. The sunlight bathes the hut, the soft crackle of the fire blending with the villagers' murmurs, and the pine needle in the elder's cup pulls you deeper into a peaceful, tea-filled dream. You close your eyes for a moment, the wall steady behind you, and let the community's gentle rhythm rock you into a quiet rest. You're still leaning against the rough wooden wall of the hut, the warmth of the tea, sharing lingering in the air as the dog at your feet finishes its dried meat, its tail thumping softly against the floor. The villagers have dispersed, their cups empty and their spirits lifted by the herbal brew, leaving the hut quiet save for the fire's gentle crackle. The sun has dipped below the horizon, the sky now a deep indigo speckled with stars, and you step outside, the cold night air brushing your face as you prepare for nighttime consultations. You walk toward a clearing near the village's edge, a lantern in hand, ready to guide patients under the starry sky, a task that feels as dreamy as the Alpine night itself. Here's the historical foundation. Inuit healers often worked late into the night, especially in the 18th century, using the stars as a backdrop for spiritual consultations, a practice they carried into the Alps. You're in the clearing now, the lantern's glow casting a soft circle of light on the snow, its flame flickering as you set it down. A villager approaches, a young woman with a shawl pulled tight, her eyes heavy with worry. She's been unable to sleep, haunted by restless dreams. You sit on a fur blanket, gesturing for her to join you, and begin to listen, the stars above twinkling like a silent audience. These nighttime sessions were a healer's duty, blending medicine with spirit guidance, and you can feel the weight of her trust as the night's chill settles around you, a sleepy embrace that's already making you yawn. Now for the quirky detail that might make you smile. Some healers believed the North Star could pull bad dreams away if you pointed at it while chanting, so you raise a finger toward the brightest star, whispering a soft chant as the woman watches, her lips twitching into a faint smile. It's a forgotten ritual, a bit of starlit whimsy that often left patients giggling at the idea of their dreams floating off into the sky. And you can't help but picture her nightmares hitching a ride on a constellation. You lower your hand, the feather on your wrist catching the lantern's glow, and offer her a small pouch of chamomile from your satchel, its scent earthy as you explain it'll help her rest. The clearing is silent save for the crunch of snow underfoot as another villager arrives. An older man with a limp, his walking stick tapping rhythmically. You motion for him to sit, the blanket crinkling as he settles, and listen as he describes the pain in his knee, worsened by the cold. You pull out a salve made from edelweiss and pine resin, its texture thick as you rub it into his knee, the warmth of your hands easing his stiffness. The stars above seem to lean closer, their light a gentle guide, and you murmur a prayer to the mountain spirits, asking for their strength to mend him. The night consultations are a quiet dance, a blend of care and celestial connection, and you can feel their rhythm in the air, a lullaby that's pulling you deeper into the moment. You glance at the young woman, who's sipping melted snow from a cup you gave her, the chamomile pouch tucked into her shawl. She looks calmer now, her eyes tracing the stars as she breathes slower, the North Star ritual giving her a small spark of hope. The man flexes his knee, a faint smile breaking through his weathered face, and thanks you with a nod, his stick tapping as he rises to leave. You pack your satchel, the lantern's light dimming as the oil burns low, and sit back on the blanket, the cold seeping through the fur. The clearing feels like a small sanctuary, the stars a blanket of their own, and you take a deep breath, the air crisp and clean, letting the night's stillness wrap around you. A wolf howls in the distance, its call echoing off the peaks, and you pull your cloak tighter, the feather on your wrist brushing your skin like a soft whisper. The consultations are a healer's quiet vigil, a way to tend to the village's deepest needs under the sky's watchful gaze, and you're sinking into their sleepy rhythm, the lanterns flicker blending with the starlight. You lie back on the blanket, the snow cushioning you through the fur, and watch the stars twinkle, their patterns a story you'll never fully rid. The night feels endless, a gentle expanse that holds the village in its embrace, and you can feel its peace settling into your bones. Historians still debate how much star-based rituals influenced Inuit healing in the Alps. Some say they were symbolic, while others argue they tied healing to celestial cycles. The argument lingers in academic circles, with scholars studying oral traditions to find answers, but you're too busy watching the stars to care. The lantern's glow bathes the clearing, the soft howl of the wolf blending with the woman's steady breaths, and the North Star above pulls you deeper into a drowsy, starlit dream. You close your eyes, the blanket steady beneath you, and let the night's gentle rhythm rock you into a quiet rest. You're still lying on the fur blanket in the clearing, the starlight fading into the soft gray of pre-dawn as the lantern's last flicker dies out, the wolf's distant howl lingering in your ears. The young woman and the man with the limp have long since returned to their huts, their steps crunching softly in the snow, leaving you alone with the mountain's quiet embrace. You rise, brushing snow from your cloak, and head back to the healer's hut, the air crisp as the first hints of sunlight touch the peaks. Inside, the fire has dwindled to embers, and you stoke it back to life, ready to craft healing tools with the healer, a task that turns wood and bone into instruments of care in this sleepy alpine morning. Here's the historical foundation. Inuit healers in the 18th century often crafted their own tools, a tradition that continued in the Alps as they adapted to new materials like alpine pine and local animal bones. You're sitting by the fire now, its warmth seeping into your knees. As the healer hands you a piece of pine wood, it's grained smooth under your fingers. She's already carving a small spoon from a sheep bone, her knife moving with practiced ease, and you follow her lead, using your own blade to shape the wood into a shallow bowl for mixing herbs. This crafting wasn't just practical. It was a meditative act, tying you to the land's resources. And you can feel the rhythm of the knife's scrape, a lullaby that's already making your eyelids droop. Now for the quirky detail that might make you smile, some healers carved tiny animal shapes into their tools, believing the creature's spirit would guide their hands during treatments, though it often left patients squinting at the odd designs. You pause to etch a small marmot into the handle of your bowl, grinning as you imagine it waddling through your herbal mixes, its tiny paws stirring the remedies. It's a forgotten tradition, a bit of playful artistry in a serious craft, and you can't help but picture a villager chuckling at the marmot as you scoop their medicine. You blow the wood shavings away, the feather on your wrist brushing your skin, and continue carving, the fire's crackle blending with the soft scrape. The hut is quiet, the village still waking as the dawn light filters through the frosted window, casting pale patterns on the floor. The healer finishes her spoon, its bone handle smooth and polished, and sets it aside, reaching for another piece to craft a needle for stitching wounds. You watch her work, her hands steady despite her age, and feel a sense of continuity. This craft has been passed down for generations, each tool a story of healing. You finish the bowl, its edges rough but functional, and set it on the shelf, the marmot carving catching the light. The act of crafting is a slow dance, a way to prepare for the day's demands, and you can feel its rhythm in your hands, a sleepy cadence that grounds you. You stretch your arms, the joints popping softly, and step to the window, wiping away the frost to peer out at the village. Smoke rises from the huts, the valley bathed in a golden glow as the sun crests the peaks, and you spot a child carrying a bucket of water, her cap slipping as she trudges through the snow. The tools you're crafting will soothe fevers, mend cuts, and maybe even bring a smile with their little carvings, and that thought warms you more than the fire. You return to the workbench, picking up a small piece of bone to carve a needle of your own, the knife's weight familiar in your hand. The healer hums a tune, her voice low and meandering, and you join in, the melody weaving through the hut like a thread. A squirrel scratches at the roof, its tiny claws a faint patter, and you glance up, smiling at the thought of it peeking in on your work. The crafting continues, the bone needle taking shape under your blade, its tip sharp enough for delicate stitches. The healer nods at your progress, her eyes crinkling with approval, and you feel a quiet pride, the tool's a testament to your role in this community. The hut feels alive, the fire's warmth and the hum of the tune creating a cocoon of peace, and you're sinking into its sleepy rhythm, the feather on your wrist swaying like a metronome. Historians still debate how much Inuit tool making influenced Alpine healing. Some say the techniques were purely practical, while others argue they carried deep spiritual meaning. The argument lingers in academic circles, with scholars studying preserved tools to find answers. But you're too busy carving to care. The dawn light bathes the hut, the soft scrape of the knife blending with the healer's hum, and the marmot on your bowl pulls you deeper into a drowsy, crafting-filled dream. You close your eyes for a moment, the workbench steady beneath you, and let the morning's gentle rhythm rock you into a quiet rest. You're still at the workbench in the healer's hut, the dawn light softening the edges of the room as the marmot carving on your bowl catches the faint glow, the healer's hum fading into a gentle silence. The bone needle in your hand feels smooth, its tip sharp and ready, and the squirrel's patter on the roof has quieted, leaving only the fire's soft crackle. You stretch your aching fingers, the warmth of the hut wrapping around you, and step outside, the cold air a sharp contrast as you join the village for a feast. The healer's blessings turning this gathering into a sleepy celebration in the Alpine afternoon. Here's the historical foundation Inuit communities, even in the Alps during the 18th century, held feasts to honor healing and community strength, often led by healers who blessed the food with chants. You're in the village square now, the communal fire pit roaring with fresh logs, its flames licking the sky as villagers gather, their furs dusted with snow. A long wooden table is laden with roasted meat, flatbread baked with alpine herbs, and steaming pots of stew, the scents mingling in the crisp air. The healer stands at the head, her drum in hand, and taps a slow rhythm, her chant rising to bless the meal, asking the mountain spirits to fill it with health. This feast isn't just a meal. It's a ritual, a way to share gratitude, and you can feel its rhythm in the villagers' smiles, a lullaby that's already tugging at your eyelids. Now for the quirky detail that might make you smile, some healers sprinkled a pinch of snow into the stew, believing it carried the mountain's purity to cleanse the food, though it often made the broth a bit too chilly for some tastes. You scoop a handful of snow, its cold biting your fingers, and sprinkle it into a pot as the healer nods approvingly, grinning as a young man stirs it with a grimace, muttering about his warm meal turning icy. It's a forgotten custom, a playful nod to nature's role, and you can't help but picture the snowflakes giggling as they melt into the stew. You wipe your hands on your cloak, the feather on your wrist swaying, and move to help serve, the villagers lining up with eager faces. The square buzzes with soft chatter, the fire's heat warming your cheeks as you hand out bowls of stew, the steam rising in lazy curls. A child tugs at your sleeve, her cap askew, and you give her a piece of flatbread, watching as she tears into it with a grin, crumbs dusting her furs. The healer finishes her chant, the drum's final tap echoing into the valley, and the villagers dig in, their spoons clinking against the bowls, the snow's chill now a faint memory in the warm broth. You sit on a log near the fire, the wood creaking under you, and take a bowl for yourself, the stew's earthy flavor grounding you as you sip slowly, the herbs you gathered earlier adding a familiar taste. The feast stretches on, the sun dipping lower, casting golden light across the snow, and you watch as an elder shares a story of a past healing, his voice low and meandering. The villagers laugh at his tale of a stubborn goat cured by a chant, and you join in, the sound breaking the afternoon stillness. A dog wanders over, its nose sniffing at your bowl, and you toss it a bit of meat, its tail wagging as it snaps it up. The feast is a shared moment, a celebration of survival and care, and you can feel its rhythm in the fire's crackle, the villagers' laughter blending with the wind's soft howl, pulling you into a drowsy haze. You lean back against the log, the wood rough but steady, and sip your stew, the warmth spreading through you as the feast winds down. The healer moves among the villagers, offering blessings with a touch on their shoulders, and you follow her lead, your hands steady as you pat a young woman's back, her smile a quiet thanks. The square grows quieter, the children yawning as they gather their bowls, and you set yours aside, the empty stew pot steaming faintly in the cooling air. The feast has knit the community together, a sleepy thread of joy, and you're sinking into its gentle pulse, the feather on your wrist brushing your skin like a soft whisper. Historians still debate the role of feasts in Inuit healing traditions. Some say they were social events, while others argue they had a deep spiritual purpose. The argument lingers in academic circles, with scholars studying community records to find answers, but you're too busy watching the dog to care. The golden light bathes the square, the soft clink of spoons blending with the elder's tale, and the snow in the stew pulls you deeper into a peaceful, feast-filled dream. You close your eyes for a moment, the log steady beneath you, and let the village's gentle rhythm rock you into a quiet rest. You're still on that log in the village square, the fading warmth of the feast lingering in the air as the fire's embers glow softly, the elder's story about the stubborn goat echoing in your ears with a sleepy charm. The villagers have mostly drifted back to their huts, their laughter fading into the crisp afternoon, leaving the square quiet save for the wind's gentle howl and the dog's soft snoring nearby. You rise, brushing crumbs from your cloak, and follow the healer back to her hut, the snow crunching under your boots as the golden light dims into twilight. Inside, the fire crackles anew, and you prepare to learn ancient songs, a healer's tradition that turns melodies into medicine in this alpine evening. Here's the historical foundation. Inuit healers in the 18th century used songs as a key part of their practice, a tradition that carried into the Alps, where melodies were believed to aid healing by soothing the spirit. You're sitting cross, legged on a woven mat by the fire now, its warmth seeping into your knees, as the healer hums a tune, her voice low and resonant, the notes weaving through the hut like a thread. She's teaching you a song passed down through generations, its words a mix of Inuit and Alpine dialects, speaking of rivers that heal and winds that carry pain away. This wasn't just music, it was medicine, a way to calm patients. And you can feel its rhythm settling into your chest, a lullaby that's already making your eyelids heavy. Now for the quirky detail that might make you smile. Some healers clap their hands mid-song, believing the sound, shook loose, any lingering sickness in the air, often startling patients into a laugh. You watch as the healer claps sharply, the sound cutting through the melody, and you join in, grinning as you imagine a villager jumping at the sudden noise, their fever scattering like startled birds. It's a forgotten trick, a bit of playful healing in the song, and you can't help but picture the sickness flapping away as you clap again, the feather on your wrist dancing with the motion. The healer nods, her eyes crinkling with approval, and you continue the song, your voice blending with hers in a drowsy harmony. The hut feels alive with the music, the fire's glow casting shadows that sway to the rhythm, and you close your eyes, letting the melody guide you. The song tells of a river that runs through the mountains, its waters washing away sorrow, and you picture it flowing through the valley below, its surface glinting under the stars. The notes rise and fall, a gentle wave that carries you along, and you can feel the healing power in each word, a connection to your ancestors who sang this same tune under different skies. You tap your foot softly, the mat scratchy under you, and let the song's rhythm weave through the air, its melody a thread tying you to the past. The healer pauses, her voice fading as she reaches for a cup of melted snow, and you do the same, the cool water a contrast to the fire's heat. You sip slowly, the song still humming in your mind, and glance at the window, where frost patterns swirl like frozen notes. The ancient songs are a healer's treasure, a way to mend spirits as much as bodies, and you can imagine singing this to the young woman with restless dreams, her worries drifting away with the melody. You set the cup down, the clay clinking softly, and join the healer as she starts another song, this one about the wind's journey, its notes higher and lighter, like a breeze through the pines. A mouse scurries across the floor, its tiny paws a faint patter, and you smile, tossing it a crumb from the feast, watching as it darts away with its prize. The songs continue, the healer's voice guiding you through each verse, and you feel a quiet pride in learning them, each note a step deeper into your role. The hut grows warmer, the fire's crackle blending with the melody, and you're sinking into its sleepy rhythm, the feather on your wrist swaying like a metronome. The songs are a bridge to the past, a healing thread that spans generations, and you can feel their gentle pulse in the air, pulling you deeper into the evening's calm. Historians still debate the origins of these songs. Some say they were purely Inuit, while others argue they blended with Alpine folk tunes over time. The argument lingers in academic circles, with scholars analyzing oral traditions to find answers, but you're too busy humming to care. The firelight bathes the hut, the soft patter of the mouse blending with the song's melody, and the clap's echo pulls you deeper into a drowsy, music-filled dream. You close your eyes, the mat steady beneath you, and let the ancient songs rock you into a quiet rest. You're still on that woven mat in the healer's hut, the ancient song's melody lingering in your ears like a soft echo as the fire's glow dances across the walls, the mouse's tiny patter fading into silence. The cup of melted snow sits empty beside you, its cool memory refreshing, and the twilight outside deepens into night, the village settling under a blanket of stars. You rise, stretching your stiff legs, and join the healer as she begins winter preparations. The task of storing herbs for the cold months, turning the hut into a sleepy sanctuary in this alpine darkness. Here's the historical foundation. Inuit healers in the 18th century, including those in the Alps, prepared for winter by drying and storing herbs, ensuring medicine through the harsh season. You're standing by a wooden table now, the healer handing you bundles of gentian and edelweiss from your satchel, their earthy scent filling the air as you spread them on a rack near the fire. The heat will dry them slowly, preserving their potency, and you arrange the stems carefully, the task a quiet dance of survival in this snowy land. This preparation wasn't just practical, it was a lifeline, a way to keep the village healthy when the mountains lock them in. And you can feel the rhythm of your hands, a lullaby that's already making your eyelids droop. Now for the quirky detail that might make you smile. Some healers tied a ribbon around each herb bundle, believing the color, red for strength, blue for calm, infused the plants with extra power, though it often left the hut looking like a festive mess. You reach for a strip of red ribbon, its fabric faded but bright, and tie it around a gentian bundle, grinning as you imagine the hut turning into a ribbon jungle, the spirits tripping over the colors. It's a forgotten custom, a bit of playful magic in the work, and you can't help but picture a blue ribbon waving at you as you hang the next bunch. You adjust the rack, the feather on your wrist brushing your skin, and continue, the fire's crackle blending with the soft rustle of leaves. The hut grows warm, the drying herbs releasing a faint aroma that mixes with the pine smoke, and you glance at the window, its frost patterns thickening as the night deepens. The healer hums a tune, her voice low and meandering, a song about winter's embrace, and you join in, your voice weaving with hers in a drowsy harmony. You stack the dried bundles in a wooden chest, their ribbons peeking out like tiny flags, and feel a sense of readiness. These herbs will heal colds, soothe the aches, and maybe even bring a smile with their colorful taste. The task is a slow rhythm, a preparation that ties you to the coming season, and you're sinking into its gentle pulse, the hut a cocoon of warmth. Outside, the wind howls, rattling the hut's walls, and you pause to add a log to the fire, its crackle a steady companion, A child peeks through the door, her cap slipping as she brings a basket of pine cones, her small hands trembling from the cold. You thank her, setting the cones near the fire to dry, and watch as she scurries back out, her laughter echoing faintly. The winter preparations are a communal effort, a way to brace for the snows, and you can hear the village's quiet hum in the distance, a lullaby that wraps around you. You return to the table, sorting the last herbs, the ribbons adding a splash of color to the chest. You sit on a stool, the wood creaking under you, and sip a cup of melted snow the healer offers, its coolness a contrast to the fire's heat. The hut feels alive, the drying herbs rustling softly, the fire's glow casting shadows that dance like winter spirits. The preparations are a healer's quiet vigil, ensuring care through the cold months, and you're sinking into their sleepy rhythm, the feather on your wrist swaying like a metronome. You lean back, the stool steady beneath you, and let the night's stillness wash over you, the ribbon's colors a faint glimmer in the dim light. Historians still debate how well these preparations sustained Alpine Inuit communities. Some say they were crucial, while others argue they barely sufficed. The argument lingers in academic circles, with scholars studying preserved herbs to find answers, but you're too busy sipping your water to care. The firelight bathes the hut, the soft rustle of drying herbs blending with the wind's howl, and the red ribbon on a bundle pulls you deeper into a drowsy, winter-ready dream. You close your eyes, the stool steady beneath you, and let the night's gentle rhythm rock you into a quiet rest. You're still perched on that creaky stool in the healer's hut, the warmth of the fire wrapping around you as the red ribbon on the herb bundle catches the dim light, the wind's howl outside fading into a gentle murmur. The chest of dried herbs sits full beside you, its colorful ties a quiet promise for the winter ahead, and the child's laughter from earlier lingers in your mind. You rise, stretching your stiff back, and step outside into the cold night, the village hushed under a fresh layer of snow as you head toward a small hut where a child waits. You enter, the air thick with worry, and prepare to heal a young patient with the healer's gentle care, a task that turns this alpine night into a tender, sleepy moment. Here's the historical foundation. Inuit healers in the 18th century Alps often treated children with a blend of herbal remedies and soothing rituals, recognizing their vulnerability in harsh climates. You're kneeling beside a small pallet now, where a boy of about 6 lies, his face flushed with fever, his mother hovering nearby with tearful eyes. The healer hands you a pouch of chamomile from the chest, its scent soft as you steep it in hot water from the fire, the steam rising in lazy curls. This care wasn't just medical. It was a community effort, a way to protect the next generation. And you can feel the weight of the mother's hope as you stir, the spoon's slow scrape, a lullaby that's already pulling you into a drowsy haze. Now for the quirky detail that might make you smile. Some healers tickled a child's feet with a feather to distract the sickness, often leaving the little ones giggling despite their ailments. You pick up the feather from your wrist, its black tip soft, and gently brush it across the boy's bare feet, grinning as his lips twitch into a weak smile, his mother chuckling through her tears. It's a forgotten trick, a bit of playful healing that lightens the mood, and you can't help but picture the fever scampering away, startled by the tickle. You set the feather aside, the boy's giggle fading into a sigh, and hand the chamomile tea to the mother, who helps him sip, the warmth spreading through her hands. The hut is small, its walls lined with furs that muffle the wind's howl, and the fire casts a soft glow on the boy's face, his breathing easing as the tea works. You sit on a stool nearby, the wood creaking under you, and watch as the healer murmurs a chant, her voice low and rhythmic, asking the mountain spirits to cradle the child in health. You join in, your voice blending with hers, the chant a gentle wave that washes over the room, and you can see the tension drain from the mother's shoulders, her hands steadying on the cup. The healing is a quiet dance, a moment of care in the night, and you feel its rhythm in the air, a sleepy cadence that's making your eyelids droop. Outside, the snow falls softly, its flakes brushing the window like tiny spirits, and you glance at the frost patterns, their swirls a mirror to the boy's slowing breaths. The mother thanks you, her voice a whisper, and you nod, adjusting your cloak as you pack your satchel, the chamomile pouch lighter now. The boy drifts to sleep, his small hand clutching the blanket, and you step outside with the healer, the cold air a sharp contrast to the hut's warmth. The village is silent, the hut's dark under the starlit sky, and you take a deep breath, the crisp air filling your lungs as you prepare for the next call. You find a log to sit on near the hut, the wood cold but solid, and pull your satchel close, the feather brushing your skin like a soft whisper. The child's giggle echoes in your mind, a sound that warms you more than the fire, and you lean back against the hut's wall, the wood rough but steady. The healing felt like a small triumph, a quiet moment of hope in the snowy night, and you're sinking into its gentle rhythm, the wind's howl blending with the boy's soft breaths. A rabbit hops past, its fur fluffed against the cold, and you smile, watching it disappear into the snow. Historians still debate the effectiveness of these child-specific treatments. Some say they relied on comfort, while others argue the herbs held real power. The argument lingers in academic circles, with scholars studying child health records to find answers. But you're too busy watching the rabbit to care. The starlight bathes the village, the soft crunch of snow blending with the mother's whisper, and the feather's tickle pulls you deeper into a drowsy, healing-filled dream. You close your eyes, the log steady beneath you, and let the night's gentle rhythm rock you into a quiet rest. You're still on that cold log outside the child's hut, the echo of his faint giggle fading into the snowy night as the rabbit's quick hop disappears into the darkness, the starlight casting a gentle glow over the village. The mother's whispered thanks lingers in your mind, a warm thread in the chill, and you rise, brushing snow from your cloak, the feather on your wrist swaying softly. The healer beckons you back to her hut, the wind's howl growing faint as you step inside, the fire's embers glowing anew. You prepare to seek spirit guidance, a sacred moment that turns the night into a quiet bridge to the unseen in this alpine stillness. Here's the historical foundation. Inuit healers in the 18th century Alps often sought guidance from spirits, using rituals to connect with the land's unseen forces for wisdom in healing. You're sitting cross-legged on the woven mat now, the fire's warmth seeping into your knees, as the healer lights a small bundle of dried sage, its smoky scent curling upward. She hands you a drum, its hide taut and familiar, and you tap it softly, the rhythm calling the spirits as she chants, her voice a low thread weaving through the hut. This guidance wasn't just mystical. It was a practical tool, helping you choose remedies or foresee needs. And you can feel the spirit's presence in the smoke, a sleepy dance that's already making your eyelids heavy. Now for the quirky detail that might make you smile. Some healers believed a spirit might borrow your shadow during these rituals, so they'd check behind them to see if it moved, often startling themselves with their own imagination. You glance over your shoulder, the firelight casting your shadow on the wall, and grin as it flickers slightly, half expecting it to wave back. It's a forgotten habit, a bit of playful wonder in the sacred, and you can't help but picture your shadow giggling as you turn back, the feather on your wrist catching the smoke swirl. The healer nods, her chant steady, and you resume drumming, the rhythm pulling you deeper into the moment. The hut grows still, the sage smoke swirling like tiny spirits, and you close your eyes, letting the drum's beat guide you into a trance. The healer's voice speaks of the mountain spirits, wise old figures carved from ice and wind, and you see them in your mind, their forms shifting like snowdrifts, offering a whisper about the boy's recovery. The guidance is a quiet dialogue, a way to align your healing with the land's will, and you feel a warmth spread through you, a connection to something ancient. The drum's thrum resonates in your chest, the mat scratchy but grounding, and you murmur a thanks, the smoke curling around you like a gentle embrace. Outside, the wind is calmed, the snow falling in soft, silent flakes, and you open your eyes, the hut's warmth a cocoon against the night. The healer sets the sage aside, its embers glowing faintly, and hands you a cup of melted snow, the coolness a contrast to the fire's heat. You sip slowly, the water grounding you as the spirit guidance settles into your mind, a plan forming to check on the boy tomorrow with a stronger remedy. The hut feels alive, the smoke scent lingering, the fire's crackle a steady companion, and you're sinking into its sleepy rhythm, the feather on your wrist brushing your skin like a soft whisper. A moth flutters near the fire, its wings a faint flutter against the light, and you smile, watching it dance before it settles on the wall. The spirit guidance is a healer's quiet strength, a way to navigate the unseen, and you can feel its pulse in the air, a lullaby that wraps around you. You lean back against the hut's wall, the wood rough but steady, and let the night's stillness wash over you. The smoke swirl a faint glimmer in the dim light. Historians still debate the role of spirit guidance in Inuit healing. Some say it was central to their practice, while others argue it was secondary to herbs. The argument lingers in academic circles, with scholars studying ritual artifacts to find answers. But you're too busy watching the moth to care. The firelight bathes the hut, the soft thrum of the drum blending with the wind's calm, and the shadow on the wall pulls you deeper into a drowsy, spirit-filled dream. You close your eyes, the mat steady beneath you, and let the night's gentle rhythm rock you into a quiet rest. You're still leaning against the rough wall of the healer's hut, the faint flutter of the moth's wings fading into the quiet as the sage smoke scent lingers, the spirit guidance settling into your mind like a soft whisper. The fire's embers glow gently, casting a warm light, and the snow outside has stopped, leaving the village in a crisp, silent dawn as the first rays of spring touch the Alps. You rise, brushing ash from your cloak, and step outside with the healer, the air fresh with renewal, ready to witness her spring rituals, a celebration that turns the melting snow into a sleepy rebirth in this mountain world. Here's the historical foundation. Inuit healers in the 18th century Alps marked the arrival of spring with renewal rituals, honoring the land cycles and preparing for new growth, a practice that blended their traditions with alpine rhythms. You're standing in a clearing now, the snow melting into puddles that reflect the pale pink sky as the healer scatters seeds from a pouch, tiny grains of alpine flowers meant to bloom in the warmer months. She chants softly, her voice rising with the sun, asking the spirits to bless the land with health, and you join her, scattering your own handful, the seeds small but heavy with promise. This ritual wasn't just symbolic, it was a healer's duty, ensuring the land's bounty for medicine, and you can feel its rhythm in the air, a lullaby that's already making your eyelids droop. Now for the quirky detail that might make you smile. Some healers danced in a slow circle during these rituals, believing their steps woke the earth, often tripping over rocks in their earnest shuffle. You follow the healer's lead, stepping in a careful circle around the clearing, grinning as you nearly stumble over a stone, your boots splashing in a puddle. It's a forgotten custom, a bit of clumsy joy in the sacred, and you can't help but picture the earth yawning awake, grumbling about your shaky dance. You steady yourself, the feather on your wrist swaying with each step, and continue, the chant weaving through the morning like a thread. The clearing comes alive with the dawn, the sun climbing higher, melting more snow into trickling streams that gurgle softly. The villagers join, their faces bright with hope, and you hand out seeds to the children, their small hands eager as they scatter them with giggles. The healer raises her drum, tapping a gentle rhythm to match the chant, and you feel the community's pulse, a shared renewal that binds you to the land. The seeds sink into the damp earth, a promise of flowers and herbs, and you kneel to press one in deeper, the soil cool against your fingers. The ritual is a quiet dance, a celebration of spring's return, and you're sinking into its sleepy rhythm, the sun's warmth a gentle caress on your face. A bird trills from a nearby pine, its song a bright note in the morning, and you smile, watching it flit between branches as the villagers finish scattering their seeds. The healer sets her drum down, her chant fading into a soft hum, and you sit on a flat rock, the stone warm from the sun, to watch the clearing bloom with possibility. The spring renewal feels like a fresh breath, a moment to shed the winter's weight, and you can see it in the villagers' smiles, their caps slipping as they laugh and chat. You pull your cloak tighter, the feather on your wrist brushing your skin, and let the morning's light wash over you, the puddles glinting like tiny mirrors. The village feels alive, the snows retreat, revealing patches of green, and you take a deep breath, the air fresh with pine and damp earth. The renewal rituals are a healer's gift to the land, a way to ensure its medicine for another season, and you're sinking into their gentle pulse, the bird's song blending with the trickling streams. A child runs past, her hands muddy from the seeds, and you smile, her joy a reminder of why these rituals matter. The clearing glows with dawn, the sun climbing higher, and you lean back against the rock, the warmth seeping into your bones. Historians still debate the impact of these spring rituals. Some say they were purely ceremonial, while others argue they fostered real growth in the Alps. The argument lingers in academic circles, with scholars studying seed patterns to find answers, but you're too busy watching the bird to care. The sunlight bathes the clearing, the soft hum of the healer's chant blending with the children's laughter, and the scattered seeds pull you deeper into a drowsy, spring-filled dream. You close your eyes, the rock steady beneath you, and let the morning's gentle rhythm rock you into a quiet rest. You're still resting on that warm rock in the clearing, the sunlight filtering through the pines as the scattered seeds glint in the damp earth, the bird's song fading into a soft hum that blends with the trickling streams. The children's muddy footprints crisscross the ground, their laughter a distant echo, and the healer's chant lingers in your mind, a thread of spring's renewal woven into the alpine air. You rise, brushing soil from your cloak, and follow her back to the hut, the village stirring with the promise of new growth as the snow melts away. You prepare to reflect on the healer's teachings, a legacy that passes on through you in this quiet dawn, a final chapter that feels like a gentle close to your journey. Here's the historical foundation. Inuit healers in the 18th century Alps passed down their knowledge orally, ensuring their traditions endured through apprentices, a practice that shaped community resilience. You're sitting by the fire now, its flames low but steady, as the healer kneels beside you, her hands tracing the carvings on her drum, marks of her own teachers, etched decades ago. She speaks softly, sharing stories of remedies, rituals, and the spirits that guided her, her voice a warm thread in the hut's stillness. This legacy isn't just knowledge. It's a living bond, a way to carry healing forward, and you can feel its weight in her words, a rhythm that's already pulling you into a drowsy peace. Now for the quirky detail that might make you smile. Some healers left a small pebble with each apprentice, claiming it held their wisdom, though it often rolled away during lessons, sparking a chase. The healer hands you a smooth pebble, its surface cool, and you grin as it slips from your fingers, rolling under the mat, both of you laughing as you retrieve it. It's a forgotten gesture, a bit of playful legacy, and you can't help but picture the pebble giggling as it escapes, carrying her wisdom into the corners of the hut. You tuck it into your satchel, the feather on your wrist brushing your skin, and listen as she continues, her voice weaving the past into your future. The hut feels timeless, the fire's glow casting shadows that dance like the spirits she describes, and you close your eyes, letting her words paint pictures. Her first herb, gathering. Her first patient, the songs she learned under a different sky. The legacy is a quiet gift, a thread of care you'll pass to others, and you feel a pride in your role, the mat scratchy but grounding beneath you. The healer falls silent, her hand resting on the drum, and you take a deep breath, the air thick with pine and sage, the hut a sanctuary of memory. The teachings are a healer's heartbeat, a rhythm that flows through generations, and you're sinking into its gentle pulse. The fires crackle, a soft companion. Outside, the dawn deepens, the village waking to spring, and you glance at the window, its frost melting into dew that glints in the light. The healer rises, patting your shoulder, and you nod, knowing this moment marks your readiness to carry on. You pack your satchel, the pebble nestled among the herbs, and step outside, the air fresh with new growth. The clearing where you scattered seeds is alive, tiny shoots poking through, and you smile, the legacy taking root. You sit on a log, the wood warm from the sun, and let the village's hum wash over you, the feather on your wrist swaying like a metronome. A butterfly flutters past, its wings a splash of color against the green, and you watch it dance, a sign of the renewal you've helped begin. The legacy feels complete, a quiet strength that will endure, and you're sinking into its sleepy rhythm, the dawn's light bathing the village. The teachings are yours now, a thread to weave into the future, and you can feel their gentle pulse in the air, pulling you deeper into a peaceful haze. Historians still debate how much of this oral tradition survived. Some say it faded with time, while others argue it shaped modern alpine healing. The argument lingers in academic circles, with scholars studying oral histories to find answers, but you're too busy watching the butterfly to care. The sunlight bathes the village, the soft rustle of new leaves blending with the healer's final words, and the pebble in your satchel pulls you deeper into a drowsy, legacy-filled dream. You close your eyes, the log steady beneath you, and let the morning's gentle rhythm rock you into a quiet rest. The night wraps around you like a soft blanket, the village's gentle hum fading into a distant lullaby as the spring air caresses your face. The butterflies dance a fleeting memory in your mind. The log beneath you feels like a cradle, the warmth of the sun lingering on your skin, and the pebble in your satchel hums with the healer's wisdom, guiding you into a dream where the mountains whisper their secrets. The chants, the herbs, the laughter of children, all blend into a slow, endless river, carrying you far beyond the Alps, where time stretches and softens, and every breath feels like a sigh. The stars above twinkle faintly, their light a gentle hand tucking you in, and the feather on your wrist brushes your skin one last time, a whisper of peace. You're drifting now, lost in a dreamscape of snow and spring, where the healer's legacy cradles you, rocking you gently into the deepest, quietest sleep, as if you've always belonged here, in this tender, timeless night.